I think men go through this phase, I call it the husband phase. And I say the husband phase, meaning like you ready to be a husband, but you ain't found your queen yet, but you've been in these streets so long, you don't know how to transition that thing. Single women spend more, particularly black women, y'all make a lot more money, have a lot of purchasing power. You pay more in taxes, y'all do a lot of brunches, girls trips, and I think there's an agenda specifically to keep y'all single. And if you get caught up in the movement, you forget that, like, it's okay to have a family. It's okay to, like, not chase career, because at some point, again, like we found out the hard way, like, you can't have a career if you want one of these, Yeah. And it's all about serving, because I feel like married women spend their money on their family, and single women spend their money on themselves. No shade, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I like the fact that you're actually open to entertain that, because based off social media, it'll make you feel like as a man, if you ain't making $600,000 every 2 weeks, you have no value in these streets, and a woman would not want you. Social media make you think there's no good men, there's no good women at all. Mm-hmm. But let's just say you find a dope man who doesn't make the number that's in your head. Like example of my wife and I, we first got together, my wife made way more money than I did. When I tell you way more, like way more. But I handled my business. I was a homeowner, I was a solid thousandaire, and we traveled just as much as anybody else, but I've always been good with my money. And it wasn't until when we had this little one right here, and she got pregnant, she got sick and was unable to work, and I take care of my wife. She doesn't even have to work unless she wants to. And again, you can look her in the eyes and see if I'm lying or not.
Yeah, because I didn't know that I made way more money than you when I met you.
Yeah, but you stuck it out. It's like, what made you even stick it out?
Well, because there was no lack. I never knew, and I never asked you how much you made, because everything I wanted, you got for me. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was ever a discussion of like, how much do you make, or for me to even find out how much you made, because we went on vacations, we went to nice fancy restaurants, I got showered with gifts every single time, whether it was a birthday or anniversary or whatever it was. So there was, until we started doing Q&A with Bay, I think like 2 years ago, that's when I found out that I made more than you, and I was like, damn.
You made way more.
Well, thank God you didn't tell me, because back then I wasn't this mature. Right.
I
was like, you make what? Oh, hell no, next.
Right. So hearing my wife say that, what if you met a really dope guy, but he doesn't make the number that's in your head, he doesn't have a really, really nice car, but he treats you right. Are you willing to even entertain that? Or you got a number in your head and this is what it is? Because I'm assuming most of y'all career women, because I know it's a popular term. Right?
Yeah, I think for me, some years ago, because I was like yourself, I took a long time away from the dating scene in my early 20s, and actually had someone, he was a male influencer, he was a pastor of mine. He sat me down and he told me, he was like, what would it take a man, if you were to be married, what is actually your budget? Like, what would it take a man to spend on you as a woman? And I've never actually looked at like how much money, like what actually am I spending? And he said at the end of the month, I want you to get that number, and I need you to understand like that's actually the money that he'll be like having to like, provide to you. And he was like, all right, and I want you to ask yourself, are you a high maintenance woman or are you a low maintenance woman? And that's the first time I ever heard that term. Afterwards, moving forward to that point in question, I realized that a lot of the things in my like dating space that I was actually taught was like from society. Like as we see early on now, it's like Instagram, social media, but before then I was being influenced by like what other people were teaching me. But to answer your question, I'm like, yeah, I would date a man, because I think like I've learned more about character.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to date a man who has the money and then he loses the job, especially with the pandemic. Like all the people that had a lot of money that was secure in that, once they lost that, you realize like what you pulled to get them, like Manal said, he can't keep what you felt secure about that. So I think to answer that, I would definitely date a man who has character, who wants to work hard to be good for himself and to like show me that like he's there for me. But yeah, I learned a lot about like finances young and realized that I was actually more high maintenance than like I don't think that I would actually want to spend that much on me, to be honest. So that was something I learned during my dating.
I think men go through this phase, I call it the husband phase. And I say the husband phase, meaning like you ready to be a husband, but you ain't found your queen yet, but you've been in these streets so long, you don't know how to transition that thing. And LA is tough because you're like, what do you do in the meantime? As a man, like you want to be a husband, what do you do in the meantime till you find your queen? Your goal is to minimize the collateral damage, because I feel like the more you manage your monster before you get married, the more you can maintain it. Because if you out here and doing 3 chicks a day or whatever you do and get married, and the woman that you love working 40 hours a week, she can't keep up with your appetite. You know what I'm saying? For ladies, I feel like it makes your heart sick when you know you're a wife, when you know you want to be married and have partnership and have a kid. What do you do in the meantime? My question for y'all, how does that affect your dating in the meantime before you find your person? Like, you got a maintenance man in the meantime? Because you still want to go out, you still want to get your needs met. What do you do in the meantime until you find your person?
I think that we go through a lot of frogs, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but I do not sit at home thinking that my guy's gonna knock on my door. So I am actively dating. I am actively trying to find my person who I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with. You know, and that sometimes that takes going on dates where you may not feel like it's gonna be a thing, and it's not, you know, but I will put myself in those positions because you never know, but I'm not gonna sit at home and think that it's just gonna show up at my doorstep. So it takes going through some like really terrible dates or not connecting with a lot of men, or you know, you just taking a chance because you hear those stories like, oh, I was on a dating app and I met this guy and it looked really crazy, but now we're married, and it's like, okay, so maybe I should go on this date that doesn't make any type of sense, so I'll do it, you know. And
but why would you go on a date with somebody that doesn't make sense? Because I also feel like women have the luxury of saying, he led me on.
Yeah.
Even though y'all go on dates with men that you know for a fact ain't your type, ain't your candy, and nothing about his vibe lets you know that he's a person. Why would you even do that?
I think that also is a telltale of the pickings of LA. And I'm sorry to say, I work in entertainment, I work in music, I work with a lot of rappers and R&B singers and a lot of the entourage, and that's a lot of my environment. And none of that for me makes a lot of sense. I've been asked, the amount of Chanel bags I've been offered and the amount of flights I've been asked to go on and all of that is literally not how to impress me at all. And I've had to take some of those trips to realize that. To be honest, I have a few bags that I'm like, oh, that was great, but that did not keep me in this relationship. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But and I've realized, and maybe as I've turned 30 and gotten into my 30s, I'm like, wow, I really want chemistry. I really want someone that I can feel safe with and protected in. And it's really not about this diamond necklace on my neck, or it's not about this bag. It's really about something more meaningful. And that takes a lot of time and maturing on my end. That has nothing to do with the man. That takes really something to do with me.
Tori?
Yeah, I just feel like us as men, we don't get the same grace when we're dating. If I meet a woman and I'm interested in exploring and seeing where it goes, if for whatever reason it doesn't go anywhere, and there's a lack of chemistry, or for whatever reason I don't see it going any further, I feel like I always become the bad guy, where it's like, you led me on, or, you know, it's like, and I don't know if it's an ego thing where it's like, you know, you're telling me no, even though I want something else. You know what I'm saying? I don't know exactly what the root of it is, but I find myself in that situation over and over again. And it's like, you know, or someone will say something like, oh, well, you shouldn't be dating if you're not ready for this. It's like, it's not a matter of me not being ready, but it's like, maybe you're just not that person for me. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like, men, we're not given the same grace as you guys are to be able to just go on a date with somebody just cause, you know? And I don't think anything's wrong with it, but it's like, I think as adults, we're all, you know, we all have to be somewhat accountable. And I mean, I know emotions are a hard thing to control, but it's like, if you consent to going out or exploring something with somebody, you got to be okay with the fact that it might not work out. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like in any situation where it hasn't worked out, it's always been like, you did this, you did this.
Everybody got a narcissist, toxic
right.
that did the exact same thing. I'm like, so it was never your fault. You played no part.
Right. But I mean, and then after you know, after time goes by and like now, like maybe they're not feeling me in the same way, then we remain friends. I mean, I'm friends with anybody that I've ever talked to in my life, you know what I'm saying? But in that moment, every I don't got
no villain story.
No.
With nobody.
I've been single for 12. I've been years, okay. That doesn't mean I haven't dated though, but I'm
in friend zone? Is that what it is?
No. Okay. What I'm saying is that like anybody that I've ever dealt with on any level, I'm still friends with and I can talk to this day. I don't have one, I'm not blocked, I'm not, you know on none of that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah,
Grown
it
folks
just
don't
is what it
mind
is.
people.
I truly believe as women, we go into dating already expecting our husband and not actually getting the chance to give men grace. Going and already thinking like, what is on my checklist that you prove out instead of actually getting to know you. I've recently done a lot of self-work and I realized that I was, like Ryan said, the problem, which is why I follow Ryan. And his wife.
You are the problem.
Listen, no, seriously. And I think a lot of the pride, because, you know, we badger men on ego. But I do know, like I told the ladies, like there are some meetings that the women have, like society has set as we need to do. I didn't go to those meetings of men needs to be 5, 6 I need to date them, they need to make this amount. Because I'm also Southern background, right? But I do believe what you said is that when you get a chance to start dating, I realize to appreciate the person who they are. And if you're in a mutual space, eventually start actually leaning to the more attraction. But like Ron said, like, the problem was actually over romanticizing men and not actually allowing them to have a choice to see. First of all, you said you like Birkin, boo, but I can't. I don't have Birkin money. I'm not going to try to make Birkin money for this. And we put that. Well, we want you because we either like you or we find you attractive. And I realized, like, yo, chill out. Like, get a chance to be friends first. And I didn't know that yet. And I had embarrassing moments where it's like, I'm not interested. And I'm like, wait, what's the problem? Right.
Yeah, right.
Food at the table.
Right. And
Right.
I cook for you, doing all that.
We had
My mama on speakerphone.
we had raw sex. Now we supposed to be married. I'm like,
I realized that I actually do want love. And because I'm tuned into my emotions, I always looked at that as bad, but it has to have a boundary. Like, how can I say, like, go in and say, okay, I really like this person. And I think it's safe as women to be soft. And I think it's scary for us. Because let's say we do like you, you smell good, you dress good. Now all of a sudden you're checking off all these boxes. We're trying to take you from the streets. Where it's like, whoa, men don't operate like that. And I think sometimes we go in and hoping that men operate to our checklist versus them being who they are. Baby, I can't help that I smell good, look good, and make that much money, but that doesn't mean you're for me. Women, we like to, like, as we look at, to sum it all up, women, we want what we want. We want what we want, and we're confident in that because when we see what we want, we can't help but to want you. But the thing is, it needs to be like, I've learned that men have their own pace. Men define relationships. Women want to define it, but we can't. So what do?
I hated being single because I feel like every time I mention to a woman that I want to get married, which you should state your intentions, they automatically assume that they my wife. And then when you add sex to that, it's like every girl I smashed was like, you're my husband. I'm like, this ain't even fun no more. So I wound up being celibate because I was like, every time, because I'm on my tiptoes in that thing, on purpose. But every time I had sex with a girl, they'd be like, yo, you're my husband. And again, like, I know I don't small talk. I know I got a connection with God and I know what I give off. There was no room for me to choose them. And at some point, it's like, this ain't even fun no more. Like, I'm managing your fears instead of pursuing you and getting to know you. And like, and you're trying to sell me.
That's good.
And you're trying to sell me on who you are when I'm like, men, we define what we want. Like by the second date, we pretty much know what category we're gonna put you in. And I always say this too to my listeners. For ladies, 2 different things you need to worry about. When you're dating and pursuing a man, 3 things you need to consider. 1, is he ready? 2, does he want what you want? And 3, are you the one? The sooner you figure that out, the less collateral damage you have. The second thing is, when men, I feel like we're in our husband phase, we put women in 3 categories. And there's no upgrade. Once you're in your seat, there's no first class. That's your seat until the end of the flight. The first one is wifey, fun girl, and seat filler. Am I wrong, fellas? Let me know. If there's another one I'm missing, please let me know.
You on to something?
I think you put us on the spot having to answer right away.
If I miss one, let me know.
If I think of one throughout the show, but I think that's pretty good. That's a good. That's good buckets.
When we're ready to get married, it's wifey, fun girl, seat filler. There's no upgrades once you're in your position. When you're wifey, you know it. In order for you not to be wifey, you got to do something real diabolical for us not to like you no more. Because we romanticize who you are to us, and we can't imagine you slept with somebody before us. So in our head, you are princess, you are queen, and you can't do nothing about it. That's why I always say, man, you don't have to live with a woman to decide. Because once you decide she's your person, even if you live with her, you knew you was gonna marry her before you moved in with her.
Boom.
Secondly, wifey. Wifey, you know you're the one, because you never have to ask where's this going, what are we doing, because we make it clear, because we don't want to share you with the world. But once we decide you're the one and go out and do grown man life and come home and tell you our truth and you snap on us, you just told us you can't handle the truth.
Wow.
And you need to be lied to. Because hoes like to listen. Go ahead.
Second one is, first one was wifey.
I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the second one is fun girl.
Okay.
Fun girl. That's the transactional. That's the Dracula schedule. Don't shake your head. Come on now. It's the. If you're not one, it's cool. But listen, the second one is fun girl. Fun girl's transactional. That's the Dracula schedule. You don't come out when the sun is out.
Ooh.
We taught you the day before and the day after events. It is what it is, and usually that lasts until somebody finds somebody. And you know what it is, but nobody want to say it because there's a certain comfort that comes along with it. Usually when that man bring them hot wings and that Hennessy, you know what time it is. Anyway, and then the last one is the seat filler. The seat filler is a tough one. I feel like that's where people usually marry. People usually marry their seat filler because they're too lazy to actually go back in the streets and find a real person. Because the seat filler is not a bad person. They're actually good people. You enjoy their company, but you know deep down they ain't your person. And usually for men, when we don't know what our purpose is, we date for where we at and not where we going. So we settle for the seat filler. That's why when you see a celebrity, you be like, that's his wife?
Yeah.
And later on, he get his money and then go on to somebody else because she can't handle the altitude. And that's not her fault. That's your fault for not being clear about who you were before you got with her, if I'm wrong. So my question is, ladies, in the meantime, how do you manage that thing of you know what you want and give him space to choose you? Because I feel like there's a thing, a dignity women have, like I'm not whatever, I'm the prize and all this other stuff. But at the same time, if you come on too strong with a guy who likes you and don't give him space to choose you, how do you navigate through that?
So in reference to everything that we've been speaking about, I think if I really like a guy, I don't believe in the concept of casual sex. You know, and I think women, we allow this thing where we really like somebody, but they're in this in-between space, so we offer up this thing, you know, in this casual sex. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't believe men and women are the same. You know, we are in this like women's sexual liberation thing. I don't personally believe in that. I don't think we can operate in a space like men do and have sex with multiple women throughout the day and think, oh, I'm a woman, I'm a human being, I desire sex too, so I should be able to do the same. I don't believe that's true. And I think it's about the anatomical parts of us, you know, like we take a man inside of our bodies.
Yeah.
And so that affects us spiritually. So I don't believe in that. And I think that's a part of the thing when you're in this, oh, am I the fun girl or am I the wife? Like if I feel like I'm in pursuit of a man that I really like, I'm gonna give it some time possibly to have sex. Or maybe I don't. Maybe I don't. But if he is to decide that he doesn't want me, I can't take that personally.
Right.
You know, that's his choice.
Right.
And so I think it's more you coming from a mature aspect to understanding like, this is what I'm laying in front of him, or I'm laying beside him, whichever. And if this is his choice, so be it. But I have to take into consideration the choices I made and, you know, what happened, and not blame this man for it.
Depending on the maturity factor of a man and where he is in his life. Somebody like myself, who I was an athlete, you know, I always talk about.
You running up the scoreboard.
Yeah, definitely.
You run up the numbers.
Like today, I can't do that as much as I want to.
Yeah.
And I want to sometimes, but like I can't. Like I've been in situations where, you know, I'm out, I meet a girl, she come back to the house, and then I'm just like, she might have been drinking a little bit more than I did. And I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we both buzz, and like, you know, I have the intention to do it, but like something comes over me where it's like I can't, you know, because from the spiritual side of it, it's like I think about those things, right? Because I took on that responsibility once I started to think about those things as far as like having sex with different women and how that affects my day-to-day life, even if I'm just having casual sex, you know, because I'm dating, and even in my dating space, like I'm still conscious of who I'm having fun with. I do want to have fun, but even in that space, I am conscious of the connection that I have with these people I'm having fun with, and it's a spiritual thing. So to what you said as far as like women and men, a woman taking a man inside of her and how spiritual that is, and that being the reason why you can't move a certain way, I think it speaks for certain men as well, like especially men like myself. But I do agree with you to a certain extent that it is different. You know, that conversation always sparks where it's like women want to move how a man can move, and like we could argue and bring up a lot of points as to no, you can't.
Right.
We still could justify and validate the double standard.
Yes.
And there's double standards on the other side as well. Things that we can't do that y'all can do. It works both ways.
I don't think men. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't think men acknowledge how much it does affect them when they're having sex. You know what I'm saying? Like
definitely.
that's just it's just not talked about enough. Like it's like when I see a homie that like breaks up with his girl and he thinks like, oh, I got to go out here and I got to get in these streets. It's like, I'm the dude. I'm like, bro, you don't have to do, like, you could cry, bro. Like, it's okay. Like, you could be hurt. You know what I'm saying? It's when wetness just pours down from your ducts.
So your eyeballs be sweating?
Yeah, exactly. It's a little salty too sometimes. But no, I just think we don't speak about it enough. And a lot of guys are out here just having sex and thinking that like, oh, I'm not impacted. But it's like, nah, like, brother, it impacts you and it's going to come out in one way or another. You know, my issue is like, I've always been very good at like human connection, and I connect with someone and I can treat you well. I could walk on the, you know, outside of the street. I could, you know, open doors. I can do all of these different things. But that doesn't necessarily mean I think that we need to be together, you know. And I think that like one of the things that like I hear is like the bar is in hell, and like women are so used to like the bare minimum that when I just do something like I check up on you or I open a door or I, you know, whatever it is, it's like you take that as I'm like he likes me, and it's like, but for me it's like no, sir,
for everybody.
you know, and certain things are just standard, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I run into that, and that becomes the conversation of like, but you let me on. And I'm like, I led you on how? Oh, you called me to check up on me, and you do this and you do that. I'm like, what are you used to dealing with? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying I'm the best or I'm the example of a great dude, but it's like I said, you know, my parents have been married, you know, 30 some odd years, and like I've seen what like a true partnership is like, and I just feel like just out of respect. I got 2 older sisters as well, and just out of respect, there's certain things that I'm gonna do standard. You know what I'm saying?
No, let me add this, because Don, you brought up a great point. Nobody really says this, but I feel like men are built for accountability. Like men who change the world, they usually have some sort of discipline that nobody speaks of. They're fathered, they have a coach, they have somebody in their life that gives them direction and gives them boundaries, especially when you have all that energy as a man. But all my homies that are married, they usually marry women that don't let them get away with everything. So the thing that you said is, I said, usually women are scared to say how they feel, but I feel like men, we usually marry the woman who gives us something different, because everybody doing the same thing, wanting the same result. But if like, I like you, you're dope, and you're like, I don't do that, because I'm gonna mess your life up, and I don't want to mess your life up, and I like myself too much to mess, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'd be like, okay, I'm intrigued, because that's what my wife did to me. Like my wife, I learned is when you're single, it needs to look different from when you're dating. And when you're dating, it needs to look different from when you're married. Everything looks different. And I got this thing too, because I'm a fixer by nature, which is why I even want to I fix, and that's my nature. This comes from my childhood of, usually you become the adult you wish you had as a child. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a fixer, but I want to see everybody better. But then you get to a point where like, my wife got this running joke. She's like, you over here praying for bees? I can't say it properly, but you over here praying, because I'm like, I'm praying for people. And the girl be like, you prayed for me, clearly you love me. And I'm like, no, like you complaining, and I got answers. Like, this is what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? And to her, that translates to he loves me because he praying for me. And I'm like, that's not the case. So now I got to be mindful of how I fix and reel that in. I'm like, I got to go home. Just tune in on Thursdays and watch our show. Also, we mentioned this earlier about bringing something to the table. That's a phrase that's thrown around all the time on social media. What do you bring to the table? My personal feeling is if a man asks you, what do you bring to the table, clearly he does not like you. Because usually when men like you, we're so consumed with trying to take care of you and figure out how to provide for you, we don't have time to worry about what you're bringing. And I've seen dope men take care of women because we don't need your money. Like, men who got their stuff together, your money's no good to me. My wife's money is no good to me. Like, her money is okay.
I think that people think, well, what do you bring to the table? It has to be like, oh, well, what finances does this woman? Or I make $1 million, so what are you doing? That equally equates to $1 million. But I also feel like you're right. Like when that question is asked, is that guy actually doesn't like you? Because in my opinion, from what I have seen in the era of influence and what social media is trying to put on people is, what do you bring to the table when it's asked to a woman? It's how can I diminish you? How can I make you smaller? Because you're not worthy of me. That's what that question equates, in my opinion, when a man asks that to a woman. But really, what a woman needs to be is virtuous. And that's
what is this word you speak of? Virtuous. What?
Virtuous.
Tell me what that is.
In context.
A woman of virtue. A man needs a safe space to trust a woman. And also I feel like, and the other argument that is very big on social media is like, well, I can get that from any woman. No, you cannot. You cannot go to Miami and get a chick and trust her and feel safe with her. You're looking to build a life with someone and also a family and to procreate. I mean, you can't just get that from every woman. It doesn't matter if you make $1 million freaking dollars. You know what I'm saying? So this is what you bring to the table. I'm talking about someone that is masculine, and that's what you guys are to bring, and someone that is feminine, and a woman that knows to submit to a man that she trusts that can lead the household.
Oh, so I asked this question right here.
You ready?
No, I asked this question.
And
No,
you ready?
this is just a question.
I pose you this.
You got it. The floor is yours, sir. Yeah. So I just have a question, quick question. So what's your answer when a man asks you, how's your relationship with your father?
Yeah, I have a very healthy relationship with my father. He's there. He raised me very well. He's one of the most important people. I'm actually having lunch with him in the morning. Like I value his opinion and his advice. Like I look to him. When I look at the relationship between him and my father and how my dad treats my mother, that's what I want. They've been married for 28 years, and I have never in my life seen them fight or argue. And if it's happened behind closed doors. I've never seen it. But what I have seen is my dad nurture my mother. But on the other side, I have seen my mother serve my father in the most beautiful way. And that's what I want to do for my man. I would love to serve my man and to care for my man and to be that anchor. You know, and I feel like a lot of women nowadays in society and the modern woman, which I do not coin that phrase, I am not the modern woman because I don't like the negative connotation of what that brings. But the I don't need a man movement, the I want to be the executive. Look, be an executive of a whatever business you want to be and try to build your, whichever the case, cool. But for me, I'm very traditional. Yeah. I want to submit to my man, and I want to trust a man that I can lead and to lead the household. I right now, because I'm single, and you know I work for very, very successful men in the music industry that don't need anything from me, but I'm helping them build a legacy for their family. Oh my gosh, I would love to find a man that I can help build a legacy for my family and that I can pour into. You know, so I'm not moved.
Can you say that to the camera so I'm sure
yeah,
watch this?
I'm not moved by success from my success. Like I think that's great. I think that I'm very valuable. I think that, you know, I aid a lot with, you know, my work ethics and what I provide to this family that I work with. But I would love to transfer that to my family and add value to the man that chooses me and the man that I choose.
I chose her because she's the first woman I argued with and I still felt loved. I don't know if that makes sense, but as a man, I grew up in a household where my mom would just, you know, my dad was an alcoholic and my mom would she was a loud woman. That's why I hate loud women. Son, it's okay. But my wife, we had a hard conversation one day and she was like, all I'm saying is if you don't want to do something for somebody, don't do it. Don't promise that and they get mad at them, they call you on your stuff. Okay, I still love you, but if there's something else you want to say, just let me know. And she crossed her legs like this and was in the car and started looking straight. And I was like dealing with myself and I realized that most arguments come from pride, ego, or fear. And I wanted the last word, but I was like, she is absolutely right. Because I feel like dope women who are plugged in, they hear from God. And again, they make this the best version of themselves and they don't take any days off. Side note, and I'm going to throw it to you because I feel like you had a comment. I also feel like women should partner with men to find their husband. Because I feel like men will save you time. If you got a brother, dad, some form of male influence in your life, he can look at the man you're dating that first time and be like, that ain't it. Yeah. And he'll save you 6-7 years, but for some reason y'all think y'all can talk to your homegirls. They don't know.
No, they don't.
Can I just say, don't talk to your girlfriends. I love my friends. I love all my girlfriends. But do not confide.
Don't clap. Do it one more time.
Do not confide. This is the advice that I give myself, just based off of my own experience. Your girlfriends are not it. Go find a mentor, somebody that is older than you, someone that is in a very healthy relationship to get relationship advice from. Do not air out your relationships. Do not tell your girlfriends who you're dating, what you got going on, because I have realized they project, I've been through it. They have projected so much into my dating life and my relationships, and it has caused so much strife and so much confusion and things that I wouldn't have necessarily done. I recommend 100% getting someone that has a very healthy and successful marriage to get advice from. Your friends are not it. I'm sorry.
Ron, I think you said
That's
it.
unfortunate.
My parents have been together 45 years.
Wait, so,
Jeez.
wait, your parents still together? My folks still together? Your folks? No? Okay.
But they have been together 45 years, and I trust my dad with every part of a relationship, including the intimacy. I can call my pops and I can talk to him about anything. He has once been that man out in the streets.
Yeah.
My mom is a very, very Southern traditional woman. We're very different. Especially because she comes from a different time.
Yeah.
So, and so I do, when I want to talk about my man, I'll call my dad. And I'm quick to introduce my dad too. I'm not like, oh, we ain't been dating long enough. No, I'm gonna introduce you to this man because he has the introspective I need to see if this is even worth my time, you know? And as a man's man, you know, he can communicate with those men. So that's who I choose to go to advice for. But something you said that I wanted to address earlier, and we talk about bringing something to the table. I'm a believer in that there's somebody out there that's specifically designed for me, right? So what I bring to the table as this woman that I am very proud of, I can bring it to you, and y'all will all receive it differently, right? Because that's what I bring to the table, quote, quote, you know? But the man that, like your wife, what she brought to the table was for Ron, you know? And so you were able to create this beautiful union. So, you know, when people ask that question, it's like, what do you bring to the table? Well, I don't have to tell, this may not be applicable to you.
Right.
But to the man that I'm specifically designed for, this is what I'm going to bring, and this is where we're going to go together, you know?
I feel like real love is knowing that you're enough is enough. I feel like a lot of times, especially when we're dating, we're trying to give off something that hopefully that person sees it, whether we do it consciously or subconsciously. Particularly for men, we overwork ourselves. We like, man, I gotta get my bread up before I get married. And sometimes if you find the right woman, bro, she'll multiply whatever you bring her. Especially if you have measurable, tangible evidence of your vision coming to life, I feel like that woman can multiply what you have. And it doesn't, all the other stuff that we put on ourselves is not even real, and it's like, it's not healthy, and it's not sustainable. Just like women, like y'all, I feel like now, again, like I said, I feel like y'all overworked and underappreciated. And watching y'all work y'allself to the bone, where I've seen women do stuff, diabolical stuff that men have been doing over centuries, because y'all overwork. Your body's not built to work as much as you do. Even though y'all ask for it, you're not built to work 40 hours a week, take care of kids, run the household, tell your husband what to do. Like, you're not built for that.
Get somebody else to do it.
Right. Thank you.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I feel like, again, meeting the right person, because a lot of us come from breakup trauma. When you come from breakup trauma, you're usually trying to manipulate the future, or like trying to figure out 3 steps ahead to get the person that you're with to go along with your program, or you're living in the past and not being present. Real love, just like being around a little baby, it makes you be present. Baby don't care about the bills. Baby don't care about your pain. If you find somebody dope, they don't have to, you just have to be present.
Yeah.
Again, like you've been hurt before, you're trying to maneuver and trying to figure like, how can I get this? If I want to ask her to go out on Friday with my boys, let me butter her up on Wednesday. Let me do this on Thursday. Let me clean up on Thursday, and then Friday I can ask her. It's like, that's too much work. At some point, you got to take all that off, bring yourself and say, this is who I am. But how we get to that, I don't know. But we're going to have you make the last statement. We're going to wrap it up and take it home. But man, if y'all joining us, man, this Q&A with Bae. We talking to the singles, the dope singles about these single streets, man. And I appreciate everybody on the panel. But Tam, you want to add something?
You realize in your dating phase, if you don't feel grounded, when you feel over anxious, it's that performance mode. I think like a lot of the things that we're saying, there are some women, and I wanted to say this too, there are some women who have not met their fathers and they feel like they're unworthy. There's a lot of things, especially what Ron just said, having male influence. If you don't have that, get that. It can be through, it doesn't have to be through a male friend, but you can get that through, I got it through my uncles. I felt like because I didn't have, my father was active in my life, that I didn't have that. But I realized that I come from a Southern background where love was evident. My grandparents stayed together for years. And I saw what love looked like. I saw that we came from a space we didn't have much, and how we multiplied. Another added to that, friends. Sometimes you're taking in people's, remember when you're dating people, you're dating their history. So a lot of times when you're getting this information from your friends or your circle, you're getting their trauma and you're getting their advice. Another part in dating too and getting to know a person is the fact that a lot of women, we hide behind our fears because essentially women want security. So a lot of the times when we're dating men, we're trying to hurry up to feel safe in order to open ourselves up. Rather than being okay with being afraid, of being okay. Like, you know, I think like that, like coming into getting to know a man and like, you see all these things and no, he's not going to be paying your bills early on. And that should be a red flag for you, because now you're hiding behind what is the quick safe method. You need to be feeling safe within yourself, knowing that if he chooses not to, and that's how things happen. You tell men all the things that you want, they'll give you that because that's quick safety. But if you're safe within yourself, if he can't provide, if he loses his job, if things, you got a chance to know him for him, and you're able to say it's gonna be okay. You want to be a partner where when things happen and change on the provider's end, that you can feel secure in yourself to say it's gonna be okay, and you become a helpmate. But you can't help a person if you feel like you're helpless all the time. So Ron, I just wanted to sum it up. A lot of that I realized in dating, it came from fear and our own women ego of feeling like we need you to make us feel safe or take relationships like from our friends and make us justify our immature decisions. Like, girl, he is cheating, don't you think that? And it's like, no, a real friend would say, what do you feel? How are you checking in with yourself?
Ooh. Y'all have blown me away because I was expecting some toxicity and everybody sound like y'all actually got y'all self together, which I feel like nobody sees us on social media. I feel like everybody here is dope in their own right, and we all trying to figure it out. Nobody has answers. I got a whole wife and kid, and I'm still trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it's a learning process, and I think the goal is to find somebody that can give you enough love and grace where you can learn how to be your best self in their space. Because again, nobody has the answers. I've seen people do it wrong and do 40, 50 years, and I've seen people do it right and they divorced in 7 years, you know what I'm saying? And that's why we're here, man. So for those of you that say love is not real and it's pee in the pool, it's a lot of chlorine if you get it. And you gotta do your part. And I feel like part of this process is like taking inventory of yourself. The best thing you can do for the culture is make sure you're the best version of yourself when you find your person. So you can have a beautiful black family, some beautiful black babies.
Yes.
And all the dope talents, gifts, and skills that you have, use that to pour into your family so you can create an empire, man.
I think I've learned a lot from single people right now, but I feel like women should still not dumb down what they want, because I feel like one of the things that a lot of my friends tell me about listening to our Q&A with Faye is, well, I feel like I have to lower my standards. I don't think any woman has to lower her standards as long as what you're bringing and who you are can portray what you're attracting. So I feel like sometimes people always talk about, oh, this person actually, what am I bringing to the table? What is he bringing to the table? But at the end of the day, if you're healthy and you're strong and you're like everything is in alignment, you're gonna attract the right person. And I feel like sometimes when you think about what the other person is asking or what they want, you should think about like, well, who am I and what am I attracting? So I feel like sometimes people get a different perspective when they listen to us, and they're always like, well, I feel like you're dumbing it down and, you know, you don't always look so perfect. I'm like, no, we ain't perfect at all.
Right.
In any way, shape, or form.
Right.
We actually like ran away from each other when we first met, but at the same time, because, you know, when I met him, I was dating people, and he was dating people, just like everybody on here, I'm sure everybody dating
Yeah, hoes,
people.
baby? Yeah, hoes?
We all have hoes. But at the end of the day, I feel like sometimes you just gotta stop and look in the mirror and be like, well, what am I attracting? Or what am I doing wrong? Or why do I keep attracting a guy who always wants to fly me first? Or why am I attracting a guy who's always trying to fly me out? Because that was the same thing with me. Like, I'm like, dang, why am I always getting bagged for the first date? Like, what is wrong with me? Do I look like a thirst bucket? Like, do I look like I can afford to buy my own Chanel bag? Well, I couldn't at the moment, but what I'm saying is sometimes we really, men or women, but I speak for women because I am a woman, I have to stop and think to myself, like, what am I doing that is showing this? Or where am I hanging out at? So for me to find the person I wanted, and for me to find Ron, who's an amazing guy, and I found him when I wasn't looking for something, I realized like where I used to hang out, what I used to do was an area where it was just a whole bunch of rich men who were looking for those type of women. And I realized at that time, but I was just like, dang, I keep getting this kind of results, but at the same time, I keep putting myself in that situation, you know? So I feel like if you're watching this, or if you ever ask me, you know, outside of the show, it's like, hey, you know, you're dumbing it down, you're doing that. No, in reality, at the end of the day, look at yourself before you talk about anybody else. Before you look at fingers, we have to look within ourselves. And what are we doing at that moment to attract whatever it is that we keep getting every single time?
Men trying to figure it out. A lot of us figuring out our money ain't right. I remember too, when we talking about our friends, their influence on our relationships. When we first got together, none of her friends chose me. None of her friends.
No, it's not none.
Maybe
there are
one.
some that were like, he's a great guy.
Maybe one or two, but most of her friends wanted her to choose the guy who had the most money. Meaning, she was gonna wind up being somebody Tuesday, because this is what they do.
I was Monday through Friday, get it right.
Not to these dudes, because they didn't even live here. But I'm gonna just say the majority of your friends didn't choose me out of all the guys you dated because you dated guys who had bread and they had all the things, but you still chose me. How did you look through all that and choose me? Like what made me different from what you saw?
I think that comes back to what I was saying is looking in the mirror and asking myself like, okay, before I kept dating this certain type of guy.
Go ahead, baby.
I kept dating a certain type of guy and I kept getting those same results. So I had to tell myself like, okay, I'm dating 3 guys right now and each one of them brings something different to my life. And what am I looking for? At the end of the day, I knew I was dating for a purpose, with a purpose. And I knew I wanted at that moment to just be like, listen, I want to date somebody who I know we can eventually get married. This guy has everything and anything. I can have 7 different cars every single day of the week. I can have whatever I want. This guy is fun, down to earth, but he still lives in an apartment where he has 3 roommates. I'm not down with that. And then this guy had a balance of everything, which that was wrong. So, which even though he says I made more than him, I don't know how that happened. I mean, yeah. But anyways, the whole point was, I think what I realized was I had to look at myself and be like, if you want different results, you have to pick different options. So I looked at him and Ron was amazing. He always showed up. He was sweet. He was consistent with everything he did. And even though he has a joke of me praying for bees, I love the fact that he was a man of God and he did have fear in his life. And I feel like when you have that, you have a level where you can't cross because at a certain point you're like, shoot, if I do this, I'm gonna go to hell eventually. But I think that's what happened and that's what was different for me is dating around, getting the same result over and over again. And then I had to realize like, if I really want a husband, like I say I do, I have to see that and I have to take out these lenses that I've had that were wrong the whole time. And then I found him.
And baby, you're awesome. Give me a kiss. Hey, listen, man. Thank y'all for joining us for Q&A today. That was a great episode, man. We appreciate y'all so much, man. Please follow me, comedian Ron G on everything. Comedian RONG. Also, like, share, and subscribe my YouTube page, comedian RONG on YouTube. Man, we love you very much. We appreciate y'all for joining us. Thank y'all, man. And son, you want to say anything? Any last words?